What if the single biggest obstacle to the life you want isn't out there, but built into your very biology? You're not stuck because you lack ideas, resources, or opportunities. You're stuck because you're living inside a psychological fortress you constructed for safety, a place that now only serves to imprison your potential. Your entire nervous system, your brain, is wired for a singular purpose, keeping you alive, not fulfilled, not expansive, not successful, just alive. And since you survived yesterday, your biology screams, repeat that, do nothing new. This is why you cycle through identical days, thoughts and feelings, then wonder why nothing ever shifts. You claim to desire more wealth, deeper connections, a healthier body, but the instant action requires stepping into uncertainty. Your internal alarms blare, fear floods in, doubt whispers that you're unprepared, that you should wait for a perfect sign, and you obey. You exchange your future for the security of the known. You trade monumental dreams for minor manageable comforts, but you must grasp this fundamental law. Comfort and growth cannot share the same space. You cannot build a new life while clinging to old patterns of mind, emotion, and habit. If you seek a different outcome, you must become willing to feel unease. You must rewire yourself to find reward in the unfamiliar, in decisive movement even when trembling. Now, let's confront the second anchor holding you back. You have a narrative. We all do. This story operates in the background, dictating your reality like an invisible script. Perhaps yours is, I don't deserve it, or I'm a person who fails, or my background disqualifies me. You might blame your history, your schooling, the market, your age. Here is the liberating truth. If you dare accept it, your past dictates your future only if you continue to reside there. Most people aren't present. They're perpetually rerunning an old film of their wounds, rejections, and perceived inadequacies. Every replay deepens the groove, making the story feel more inescapably real. But your history is not your destiny. The interpretation you assign to past events is just that, an interpretation. You can choose a new one right now. You can decide that every experience served to prepare you, not to punish you. That a setback was a lesson, not a life sentence. So what separates those who radically transform from those who remain trapped? It isn't deep analysis or passive visualization. It isn't merely thinking hopeful thoughts. The dividing line is massive, decisive action. Pay close attention. Contemplating change is not change. Strategizing for change is not change. Discussing change is not change. Only action rewrites your reality. We're conditioned to believe that deeper understanding alone will shift our circumstances. That's a seductive trap. Overanalysis breeds paralysis. You can spend a decade dissecting your origins and remain perfectly understood, yet utterly unchanged. Because insight alone doesn't transform. Transformation occurs when you shatter your pattern in the present moment, not later, not when you feel prepared, now. When you take massive action, you jolt the nervous system out of its decades-long loop. You send a new command to your brain. We operate differently now, and that is where the shift begins. The most accomplished people aren't necessarily more brilliant or gifted. They simply move. They act before certainty arrives. They proceed despite fear. They advance without a complete map. Momentum builds upon itself. The initial move, the first difficult step, makes the next one easier. But you must break the inertia first. You must physically do something different today. Here's a critical element most overlook. Your mind and body are one system. Your physical posture right now is dictating your emotional state and your capacity for bold action. To alter your life, start by altering your physiology. This is concrete biochemistry, not abstract theory. When you're slouched, breathing shallowly, gazing downward, what state do you inhabit? A low-energy, defensive, diminished state. From that place, you make timid choices. You think small thoughts. You take feeble action or none. Your physical form drives your psychological reality every second. Change your body this instant. Pull your shoulders back. Expand your chest. Take a deep, full breath. Move with intention. Your body transmits constant signals to your brain. Right now, you're likely broadcasting fatigue, resignation, and smallness. Change that broadcast and watch your emotions follow. Motion generates emotion. To feel powerful, adopt the posture of power. To feel energized, move with vitality. Do you know the most potent word in any language? It isn't love or hope. It is decision. A true decision, not a vague preference like I should get in shape or I hope things improve. I mean the kind of decision that severs all other paths. The word's origin means to cut off. When you truly decide, you eliminate every alternative. Most people believe they've decided, but they've only voiced a preference. They claim to want success, but keep backup plans on standby. They profess commitment, but leave an escape route. That isn't decision, it's a decorated wish. A real decision changes everything in an instant. Your neurology reorganizes. Your focus sharpens because retreat is no longer an option. You burn the ships. You declare to yourself and the universe, this will happen, period. With that level of conviction, you access a reservoir of ingenuity. You become resourceful, no longer waiting for resources to appear. But here is a subtle, profound way we sabotage ourselves. You can possess the optimal strategy, the ideal plan, mentorship, and means. Yet if your core identity conflicts with your goal, you will unconsciously undermine yourself every time. You cannot sustainably outperform your self-concept. Your identity is the running narrative of who you are. I'm not a disciplined person. I'm bad with money. I'm inherently shy. Each statement locks you into behaviors that validate it. Your brain strives for consistency with this self-image. If you identify as someone who struggles financially, you'll orchestrate circumstances to stay that way, even if money comes to you. If you see yourself as unlovable, you'll attract or create situations that confirm that belief. Let me offer you a transformative key. Your focus literally constructs your reality. What you consistently look for, your mind will find evidence to support. Your brain contains a filter, the reticular activating system, designed to highlight whatever you deem important. If you awaken and fixate on what's lacking or wrong, your brain will scour the world for more lack, more injustice, more reason why you can't succeed. You'll collect overwhelming proof for that perspective. But if you consciously shift focus to possibilities, to gratitude, to solutions, your brain will start highlighting those instead. This isn't naive optimism, it's cognitive science. Your focus shapes your perceived reality. Two individuals can face identical circumstances. One sees a dead end, the other a doorway. The sole difference is where they place their attention. Energy flows where focus goes. Concentrating on problems amplifies them. Focusing on actionable steps unlocks your latent power. And here is where many misunderstand achievement. They believe it's about goals. They list objectives, create vision boards, set resolutions, and nothing changes. Why? Because goals are aspirations. Standards are mandates. You don't ultimately get what you wish for. You get what you consistently tolerate. Standards are non-negotiable. If your standard is punctuality, you're on time. If your standard is excellence, you deliver it. A goal is something you aim for when conditions permit. Your current life is a perfect mirror of your current standards. Your physical health reflects your standards for self-care. Your finances reflect your standards for stewardship. Your relationships reflect your standards for how you deserve to be treated. To understand your patterns, you must understand the 6 core human drivers behind every choice you make. Until you do, you'll repeat cycles baffled by your lack of breakthrough. The first need is certainty, the need for security, to avoid pain and find pleasure. It's so powerful that people will abandon dreams for predictability, staying in miserable jobs or relationships because they're known quantities. Yet if everything were certain, you'd suffocate from boredom. Hence the second need, variety, the craving for novelty, challenge, and change. This is why people sometimes engineer drama when life becomes too stale. The third need is significance, the need to feel unique, important, and valued. Everyone meets this need, but methods vary. Some pursue it through mastery and contribution, others destructively through victimhood or putting others down. The fourth is connection and love, the profound need to belong, to be seen and understood. When this need isn't met healthily, people may tolerate toxic relationships or seek belonging in harmful groups just to avoid loneliness. Those first 4 are the needs of the personality. You will meet them somehow, but the final 2 are the needs of the spirit, and focusing here is where life truly ignites. The 5th need is growth. If you are not growing, you are dying. Stagnation guarantees discontent, regardless of external success. Recall your most vibrant moments. You are undoubtedly learning and expanding. Yet growth alone can feel hollow without the 6th need, contribution. The essence of a meaningful life is giving. Making a difference, improving something beyond yourself, that is where deep fulfillment resides. Your current patterns persist because they meet some of these needs. Perhaps procrastination provides certainty by avoiding failure. Perhaps conflict grants you significance through attention. To change a pattern, you must find a new, empowering way to satisfy the same underlying need. This leads to the ultimate truth. Happiness equals progress, not a final achievement. You feel stuck or dissatisfied not because you lack possessions, but because you aren't growing. You're repeating yesterday and your spirit is suffocating. You believe happiness awaits at some future finish line, but real fulfillment is found in who you become during the journey. It's in daily progress towards something meaningful, in growing and giving that growth away. Let me synthesize this for you right here, right now. Your life remains unchanged, not because of external forces, the economy, your upbringing, your age. It's because you reside in that comfortable fortress, narrating the same old tale, thinking instead of doing, allowing your physique to sustain a weak state, making preferences instead of ironclad decisions, operating from a limiting self-concept, fixating on obstacles, and accepting standards far beneath your true capability. However, knowledge alone is inert. Application is everything. Understanding these principles means zero if you don't implement them today. We are creatures of conditioning. We will default to our wired patterns unless we deliberately, forcefully interrupt them with immediate, substantial action. So what will you do differently in this very moment? Not what will you consider, not what will you plan, what tangible step will you take? The caliber of your existence is set by the questions you pose and the actions you execute. Will you leave this and revert to the familiar ruts and excuses, or will you draw a line declaring the old version of you finished, effective immediately? Your life will not change because you want it to. It will change because you demand it to, because you elevate your standards and refuse to accept less, because you decide with finality that the former path is closed and you reinforce that decision with consistent, courageous action. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Obstacles will arise. You will want to retreat to the safe and the known, but that discomfort is the tuition for an extraordinary existence. You don't get metamorphosis without friction. You don't expand into a greater self while practicing the same mental, emotional, and physical routines that built your current reality. Remember this in challenging moments. You are far more capable than your conditioning suggests. The boundaries you perceive are stories, not facts, and stories can be rewritten in an instant if you challenge them. Every person who has achieved something remarkable began exactly where you stand, filled with doubts and fears. The distinction is they moved regardless. They understood that bravery isn't the absence of fear, but action taken alongside it. Your history need not be your future unless you choose to dwell there. Today can be your pivot point, not because your situation changes, but because you do. Because you redirect your focus, raise your standards, alter your physical state, make a definitive decision, and commit to daily growth. Life isn't about waiting for calm seas. It's about learning to sail skillfully in any weather. It's about evolving into someone who thrives on challenge, who uses obstacles as fuel. Progress is happiness. You don't need all the answers. You don't need perfection. You need only to be progressing, to be growing. Because when you are growing and contributing, when you're pushing past your familiar limits and becoming more than you were, that is when you feel truly alive. That is fulfillment. The 6 human needs will drive you. Now, armed with this awareness, you have a choice. Meet them in ways that empower you or in ways that keep you confined. Seek significance through creation, not complaint. Find certainty through competence, not contraction. The power to choose is always yours. I'll ask one final time. What is your commitment? Not your desire, not your interest. What are you utterly committed to with your entire being? What standard will you uphold from this day forward? Interested parties do what's easy. Committed individuals do what's required. This is your one life. This is the main event. Every moment spent beneath your potential, compromising on your dreams, tolerating mediocrity in yourself and your surroundings, is a moment you can never reclaim. Time is the one asset you cannot earn more of. You can always generate more wealth or forge new connections, but you cannot create more time. So decide right now what your life will stand for. Decide who you are becoming. Decide the standards you will live by. Then take massive, unrelenting action to make that decision your reality. Not tomorrow, not on some arbitrary future date. Now, stand, shift, decide, act. Your life is waiting for your claim. If this resonated with you, support this channel by giving this video a like and subscribing to Robbins Speak for more insights that challenge you to grow.